Hello and welcome to BierTier, the German engineer. Today we are back with episode 36 of season 2 of our current Let's Play series, and this is of course oxygen not included. Yes, you can see it, we are back over here on Ughista and Jemsterrs is still running around like crazy and he is not too happy. So, I think we need to change our plans here just a tiny little bit. There are a couple more things we're gonna have Jemsterrs do over here, but then we are going to send him back and we're gonna replace him with some dupes, which morale requirements are a tiny little bit lower. So, let's do precisely that. With our overlay back on, when we take a look right here into our F7 overlay, we can see currently we are just having one singular output for our gas pipe right here, and we need to change that just a tiny little bit. So what are we going to do? We're gonna come all the way through here, and I think right there would be a good point for another gas vent so we can get all of this stuff here out. And then we are going to come out the other side just straight through here, and then where all the doors are, maybe one right here, maybe another one right here, and maybe another one down here on the bottom. And we're gonna plop a gas vent everywhere, which should help us distribute our oxygen a hell of a lot better. Meanwhile, over here on Ingenium, yes, on our main planetoid, you can see it right in front of us. We have our wonderful rover rocket with two separate rover modules, which is going to be very helpful once again. So let's grab a space for a module, say change destination, go into orbit, and then of course also change the crew to anybody and begin the launch sequence. So let's send it to space, let's get Kriwak back down here as soon as we are up in orbit, and then let's send our rocket over to Ughista completely autonomously. And with a tiny little bit of YouTube magic, we are already right here in orbit. So let's grab our rocket, let's select our duplicant and a Trailblazer module and deploy him back onto the ground. And as soon as that has happened, roughly right now, we can change the destination and go over to Ughista. So let's do precisely that. And of course, let's make sure Kriwak is making it safely back to Ingenium. And thankfully, it looks like he's doing just fine. Meanwhile, on Ughista itself, Jemsterrs is making good progress, and when we take a look into our F7 overlay, we can already see oxygen flowing down to the bottom and very soon also to the top right and the top left, which is of course very good. Let's take a quick look into our F4 overlay. Yeah, we still have a little bit of polluted oxygen right here, which should move out as soon as this here is built. All of this stuff over here doesn't matter. Yes, our atmosphere is looking actually really good. Exactly what we want, and as soon as Jemsterrs is done here, we're just gonna close off the base and then Jemsterrs is about to go home. Meanwhile, over here on Abundino, yes, right in front of us is our wonderful Interplanetary Launcher setup, and it works like a charm and there's really absolutely nothing wrong with it. But it could do a little bit more for us, because at the moment we have one Interplanetary Launcher and they can run a lot, but not quite as much as I would like it to. So, how can we expand the system here easily? Well, let's take a look. If we go over to the right and we follow this stream here straight through, it comes through here. So we can do something like this here. Let's take a quick peek. We can grab this Interplanetary Launcher and we should be able to plop it. Yeah, something like right there. And then on the other end, we just gotta dig this one tile here up. If this here is set up, we can just put a little bit of automation in and we should be able to use two Interplanetary Launchers with the exact same Radbolt source. So that should work just fine, but first we need to build it. And now back over here on Ughista, everything is looking great. So what we can do now is we can just build two insulated tiles right here and a manual airlock. It doesn't really matter too much. Probably right here should be more than fine. And when we take a look into our F4 overlay, everything now is wonderful. Oxygen in the areas where we want oxygen, and down here on the bottom right and the bottom left, it really doesn't matter. So this system here should now run all by itself without any human interaction, at least for a little while. The only thing that I'm worried about a tiny little bit are our Pakus down here, but they should be fine. And our hatch right here is currently 5 out of 100, so it shouldn't be that big of a problem either. And now both of our insulated tiles as well as our manual airlock are built, which means, yes, Jemsterrs can officially go back home. His job over here is done, and look at what he has built all by himself, only with the help of a couple of rovers. So, let's see. Spacefarer module, we're gonna change the crew to Jemsterrs, and the destination is going to be home, which is of course Ingenium. So let's acknowledge the warnings and begin the launch sequence. And Jemsterrs, where you at? Yes, let's see. He is leaving this planetoid. it. Isn't that nice? Finally, I haven't taken any count or anything, so I'm not entirely sure how long he was here, but he was here long enough that he is very happy to be back home. And in our F3 overlay, we can see all the heat that we just pumped in here, but that is fine. Thankfully, that doesn't happen too often, and we should be able to cope with it for now. Especially when the other two dupes are back, we're gonna dump a little bit more heat in here, but even that is going to be okay because a cooling loop is not far behind. So let's make sure that Jemster gets back home, and then we will go from there. Right here on our star map, it is a really good time for some comparison. So let's take a quick look. Right here, this is a rocket with our two wonderful rovers in it, and it still takes 2.3 cycles to actually make it all the way to Ughista. But over here is our rocket with Jemster in it, and it's going back to Ingenium, and it just took off, and it only takes 1.3 cycles. And that should show you the massive difference it does make in speed if we have a pilot or if we do not have a pilot. We are extremely slow if we don't have one, so be mindful if you use that little trick in your own game, because it can sometimes be a little bit of a problem if you need to get somewhere fast. You're certainly not going to do that with an autonomous rocket. Meanwhile, right here on Ingenium, another tiny little project. Yes, down here on the bottom, we have all the Thimble Reeds, and they are not doing a hell of a lot because currently we are only feeding them with our natural gas generators right here. And truth be told, they are not producing a lot. So let's do something different. Right up here on the top, we have a little bit of polluted water, a few tons, so why not utilize them? Right here, we could plop in a pump. With a pump, we can come out with a normal pipe. It literally does not make a difference at all for what we are doing here. And then we can come all the way to right here, I would say. Yes, that looks perfect. And we're just going to plop in a liquid vent. All this here is very temporary, so it doesn't really matter at all what we build here. We're just going to come over with a little bit of power, and then we are going to pump all of this water over here, drop it straight down into this reservoir where we have our hydro sensor, and of course our pump will turn on basically immediately. And since we have two pumps, they should theoretically run constantly. And we're just gonna bring it into here, and then we have here our Thimble Reeds that should then hopefully grow with a bunch of polluted water. So let's see if that works out for us. Right over here on Ingenium in our industrial brick, yes, right here where I wanted to pump this water over here, better to say this polluted water, I may have made a couple little mistakes. Yes, it's not working out the way I wanted. So let's pause the game and let's take a closer look, because the water comes over here to the right and then it drops down into our reservoir. Or does it? Well, turns out, no, it does not. Because I forgot that the liquid lock is right here. I never removed it, because I thought, better have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And usually I'm right, but in this particular case here, that may not be the case. But thankfully, it's not that big of a deal, because over here on the right side, if we follow it all the way down, we're just ending up right here, and therefore inside of our liquid pump once again. But over here on the left side, we are coming down this ladder right here, over to the right and into this mesh tile. But that is only one problem, because the other problem is I forgot that I cooled this entire thing here down, and our Thimble Reeds are at 18.6 degrees and they need at least 22. But what can we do about that? Well, this water down here is slowly but steadily heating up. We are already at 23 degrees, 24 degrees over here, so we are getting where we want to be. And so to heat this here up, I built the space heater. That doesn't really do a hell of a lot, but what really helps is our F6 overlay. I plopped right over here a liquid vent. So if none of our fibers here are picking up the polluted water, we are just looping it through. And since our water here is becoming warmer and warmer slowly but steadily, we are slowly but steadily also heating up our Thimble Reed. And we should see that very shortly our Thimble Reed should be up and going once again. So every once in a while, even if you think you messed up badly, it may not be as bad as it seems on the first glance. And yeah, just as a little update, I had to cheat a tiny little bit more by putting in a liquid tepidizer. Of course, I also put in here insulated tiles, so we are not losing all of that heat into the granite right here, because it is rather cold over here. So over here, a few insulated tiles certainly won't hurt, and it should help us greatly in the long run if we want to get rid of all this polluted water right here. And while I was messing around over in the industrial brick, you may think that this rocket here seems familiar, and of course it is, because this is Jemster's rocket, and yes, Jemster is back here. So there are two things that we need to do before we can set off. First of all, we need to fill it up with more oxygen. Lots and lots more oxygen. As much as we can, preferably 3,600 kilograms. And then second of all, right here is our Spacefarer module. That's even more important. We need to fill up this fridge here, and I want to fill it with as much berry sludge as I can. Little bit of excellent fruit can't hurt, and if all fails, muck root. So that is important. We need to get food over there because we don't really have any right now. That is the next step in the game. But at the moment, we are looking decent and a little bit more oxygen and we should be fine, even though oxygen is really not a problem anymore since we have our fancy Hydra going. So let's see how Abundino looks. And of course, the dupes have been hard at work. The entire thing here has been built. The bottle emptier right here, we're going to set it to crude oil, number 9 priority, enable auto bottle. And we're just going to plop 1 bottle in here. That should be sufficient. Is that already? No, that can't be. That would be a little bit early, but very soon our oil should be here. But before we do any of that, let's take a look into our automation overlay, because right here, this wire here is what makes it all happen. And we can still do exactly that. We just need to change it up a tiny little bit. So right here, I'm gonna come over with a second wire, because what we will use is an AND gate. And the AND gate, I'm just gonna plop, where could I plop it? Probably just right here would work, right? Yeah, right there. That should look the best probably. And then with our wires, this wire here, I'm gonna go straight. This wire here comes down and this wire here goes in there. Then we're gonna cut this wire here off. And can't do that yet. So let's leave this here on for a second, or we are immediately firing more Radbolts. We certainly don't want to do that. So let's get all this here built. And as soon as we have it, we're going to snip off this 1 wire right here. And it should work just like before. Only when both of our interplanetary launches are full, our Radbolt chamber over there should stop shooting any more Radbolts. And right here, everything is now built and we can see it in the automation overlay. This wire here is red and it will stay red up until the point that this entire system here is full. So let's make sure that happens. I have also increased the time on our buffer gate from 4 seconds to 6 seconds just to be safe. We really don't need it that fast. Every 6 seconds is more than good enough, which would mean we are firing in 1 cycle 100 Radbolts. That should be plenty. So now we're full and we have a little bit of an overflow. Now everything's green and we're back in a working state, waiting for materials. So I would say let's give it some material and let's see what happens. Currently it is set to sand. Let's turn that off and let's see here, raw mineral. What do we have plenty of? Let's see here, mineral. We have sandstone. Yeah, let's send some sandstone over there. Why not? So let's do precisely that. We're going to say sandstone and allow manual use. Now, we just need some dupes to combine, actually plop some sandstone in there so we can follow it at full speed. So dupes, plop a little bit in there. Would you be so good? Thank you very much. And now we're just gonna follow it along and we will see what happens up here on the top. So the material is coming. Let me slow it down right here. 1 material should go in and the next one should pass, go in, pass, go in, pass, and so on and so forth, which means now we have 2 of them. This one here has it already a destination. Let's see here, Ughista, please. And you are also set to Ughista. Wonderful. And both of our Radbolts should be firing like crazy here with a little bit of a Radbolt loss. There's unfortunately not a hell of a lot I can do against that, but it works. Now we have double the capacity and we still have the same system running on the left. Isn't that nice? And now just a tiny little bit later, we have already maxed out the capability of this system. Yes, we are running low on Radbolts, but even there is something that we can do. So what can we do? Well, right here, we can build more Radbolt generators because if you take a look here, we still have plenty of radiation going on right here. So we could theoretically do literally something like this here. We could plop in the exact same amount 1 more time. We just need to find a good position for our Radbolt reflector right here. For example, we could plop it right here and then we could, what would make the most sense? So where can we plop it? Right here. Yes, that should work. If we build this here, we should be golden. From here, we can then, of course, with the exact same cable come over. Yes, something like this here. And we will need some ladders and a little bit of infrastructure so we can reach all this stuff here. And where are we gonna do that? I mean, right at the moment, it's really a danger zone until all of this here is really done. So we're not gonna do a hell of a lot here for right now because most of it is not reachable. But as soon as all of this material here has left and we are ready to go in there, we will do precisely that. I am actually wondering if random dude here gets hit by a Radbolt while he is in a Leadsuit, will it actually hurt him? Well, I guess we are about to find out because this thing here is about to fire and we will see precisely what happens. It's really hard to intentionally hit a dupe, and he is getting hurt. Okay, so it does still hurt him, even though he is wearing a Leadsuit. That is really all that I wanted to know, just for testing purposes. Sorry, random dude. Somebody had to take a hit for the team, and unfortunately, this time around, it was you. So now we know we are going to wait until all this here is done before we are going up here and building all the other stuff. But for right now, we're looking really decent, and I can already set this one here up without a problem. Isn't that nice? On our star map right here, we can see all of those interplanetary payloads flying in, but we also can see that our rocket is here. So once again, let's deploy our rover army. One right here, and the other one we are going to plop right there. So let's make that happen, and let's see if it does actually happen. Not on Avondino, but on Ughista. That's the first one. Yeah, it only does one at a time, doesn't it? So that's the first one, and then let's take a look at the second one. Not inside the rocket, but of course in orbit. Deploy that thing and plop it right there. And the second one is now gone. So now we can change the destination and go back home safely. And back on Ughista, of course, now we have 2 rovers running around, and it shouldn't be a problem at all. And now that our rovers are here, we can deconstruct, of course, their landers. Yes, that's the first thing. And over here, our auto sweeper will slowly but steadily get hotter. We are at 51 degrees, but 275 is where we can get to. So there is a good amount of time until we have to do something about it. And then down here on the bottom, yes, right here, this area here is the main reason why I brought the rovers over. Let me pause the game, because with our ladder, we're gonna come down as far as we can, roughly right there to get the job done. And then right here, I want to dig out most of this stuff here. Not gonna lie about it, most of it has to go. For example, right along here, I'm not going to put in insulated tiles, but normal tiles, because rovers cannot build insulated tiles. So that is all we have for right now. As a matter of fact, I'm going to wait a little bit longer because we are about to get some igneous rock here, which is another reason why I built all the stuff on Avondino, because we are running very, very low on resources over here to build stuff. So we certainly have to do something about that. But for right now, we are just going to dig up everything that our rovers can dig up. Of course, a few tiles will be left over, like a bleach stone right here and right there. Apparently the rovers cannot do that, but that is okay. No problem at all. We're just gonna leave that stuff where it's at, and we're just gonna move along like nothing has ever happened. As soon as the dupes are back, they can clean up. We're just trying to get a little bit ahead, especially so we can get our hatch range done for our hatch right here, who is by now 13 years old. That is a problem. We really need to get this thing here into a stable so it can reproduce as fast as possible. And now back over here in our industrial break, yes, you can see it, our Thimble Reeds are growing once again. Isn't that nice? But at the same time, just so you know what I did here, I heated up this water here, this polluted water, to roughly 55 degrees. Everything that was in here, the water was still pumping at that time, and then I just deconstructed it. And right now, it seems like it fell to about 28, 29 degrees with the rest of the water that we pumped over. All of this here I cleaned up, a little bit of mopping, a little bit of cleaning. Why did you not pick that stuff up, guys? Come on. But other than that, now we can deconstruct what we built here. In F2, we're gonna get rid of everything right here. In F6, we also gonna get rid of everything all the way over to the right. Our liquid vent has to go, and also our liquid pump. Let's get rid of all this stuff here. Wonderful. And soon nobody will even know that anything has ever happened here. A little bit of mopping all around here. And of course, all the mopped water is just being put into this bottle emptier here, just in case you're wondering where it's going. It will also go back to our pump where it belongs. And in our F6, let's see, we're coming in at 10 kilograms. And of course, we're also coming back out somewhere. And right here, we have 6.8 kilograms left over. So theoretically, we don't even need this liquid vent here anymore. And out of theoretically, we're gonna make practically, because there's really no point in having it. So let's get rid of it, and let's make sure that our Thimble Reed here taking up our wonderful water. But at the same time, we do not want to waste the power on our liquid pump. And then last but not least for today, I want to finish this build over here. So let's grab us a ladder, and with the ladder, we're just gonna come something like this here. Should get the job done. Yeah, the dupe should be able to reach everything just like that. Yes, so that should do. So let's make sure all this here gets built. And when that is done, we are going to send our 2 dupes that are going over to Ughista into space and call it a day. I made one more tiny improvement to the system. I put 2 more Radbolt reflectors right here, so if the Radbolt comes along here, hits this reflector, comes up here and goes straight back to this one, back into the Radbolt chamber. Yes, we still have some loss because we are losing 0.1 Radbolts per tile traveled, but it's still better than losing all of it. At least that is my idea of it. But overall, look at the amount of Radbolts that we are generating. Isn't that insane? Yes, we are producing Radbolts left and right, and we should be able to transfer a lot of materials. And just so you can see what the star map currently looks like. My god, look at all this stuff right here. This even takes a long time. Even if I speed up the game speed, it makes no difference. These here will still not travel faster because that is just the animation of it. And we can see we have a bunch here, we have a bunch here, we have a bunch there. And this one here already has the animation for actually falling onto the planet, and it's just gone. And on the planet itself, let's take a look at Ughista. How are we looking over here? Yeah, look at all these interplanetary payloads just sitting here and awaiting to be opened by our payload opener, which already is at 100 degrees as well. So we definitely, as soon as the dupes are here, we need to make sure that we are cooling this here down. But that is going to be very simple and shouldn't be a problem at all. Our rovers down here probably got themselves stuck, didn't they? Let's see. You cannot reach anything. Why would that be? Because we are missing a piece of ladder right here and right there. That should make it better. And as soon as that is done, I'm not entirely sure why this rover here does nothing, but we can help this rover here out as well. So let's plop a ladder right there. And let's see. Yes, we just need to make sure that our rovers get unstuck, but you can already see how much we have cleared out here, and we are now ready for dupes. And then last but not least, over here on Ingenium, we need to take a look on the interior. So let's see, what do we have in here? We have 328,000 calories. That's nice. And what do we have in here? Berry sludge, 81 kilograms, and excellent fruit, 674 grams. Not entirely sure who is eating our excellent fruit, but it doesn't really matter because the rest we're just gonna fill up with muck root. I'm gonna turn this here on. It should have a higher priority than anything else. And as soon as it's full, we are taking off. But one more thing needs to be done. Which 2 dupes are going to travel? So let's take a look here. We have Jemster, and Jemster right here has a morale need of 32. That is a little bit high. We need somebody who is lower, but we also need somebody with the right skills because we do need critter wrenching. Demolition would be nice. Field research would be nice. Electrical engineering, or even better, mechatronics engineering would be nice. But at the moment, we have none of that. So let me take a quick look. Which 2 dupes are the best for this mission? And after a little bit of looking around, I think I found our 2 perfect dupes. And the first one is right here, and it is Sotsay. Sotsay has hard digging, super hard digging, and super duper hard digging, which is of course what we need, and demolition down here. Very, very good. So what can we do with him? Well, his morale need is only 21. If we send him into critter wrenching 1, it will go up to 24. If we send him into field research, again 24. And that is it, because Silent Sam plays down here. He can already grill, which is going to be very helpful. And down here on the bottom, he is a mechatronics engineer. So he has currently a morale need of 15. If we send him into field research, we're going up to 18. And if we send him down to critter wrenching, once again, 18. So I can't just send these 2 dupes up there. And even if I give Silent Sam plays both critter wrenching and field research, he only gets a total of +6. And therefore, he's only going to go to 21, where Sotsay is right now. So I think those 2 are the perfect dupes, and those are the 2 that we are going to send. So let's go into Spacefarer module. We're gonna change the crew, and we gotta find them. Let's see, we have Sotsay right here, and Jemster, we're gonna turn you off, and Silent Sam plays. You 2 are now our crew. So you're gonna change the destination to Ughista. So let's do precisely that. And then let's take a look into our interior again. Have we filled it up yet with muck root? No, not yet, because the game was paused. But as soon as we have that, we are ready to roll. And I just watched the dupe come in and bring muck root 18.3 kilograms, bringing us to 342,964 kilocalories. That is plenty of calories for 2 dupes. That should keep them alive for a good while, and therefore we should be able to send them to space. And that is exactly what we're going to do. So back to Ingenium, we're going to come in here. We are going to say acknowledge the warnings, because screw them. Yes, we do not need cargo transfer, and begin the launch sequence. So off you go. And there we have them. Silence and Place is in there. Are we both in there? Yes, they're both in there. Wonderful. Back to Ingenium because we are having a liftoff. In the dead of night, we are lifting off into space, and there we go. And for the end of today, we can see what our rovers were capable of. They dug out a really nice area right here. Just all this bleach stone here I couldn't dig up. Of course, those tiles right here. Can they deconstruct them? Yes, they actually can. All right, we are deconstructing apparently. Wonderful, no problem with that. Let's get rid of it, and that is great. But we're waiting for our dupes to come here, and we will have a wonderful hatch wrench right here. And down here, our Pacus. Oh my god, look at those Pacus. They are going strong. Oh my goodness, I don't even know what to do with all of these. Those are so many, but better too many than not enough. We will definitely figure something out for them in the next episode. But that is all I have for you today, so if you enjoy my content, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, and of course comment down below. You know it, I'm always happy to hear from you. And with that I say thank you and peace.